Does it sometimes seem like God is giving you the cold shoulder? Like he's just turned away and doesn't really care anymore? I was thinking about that this morning when I put on a sweater because the weather had suddenly turned chilly around here. And that idea of turning a cold shoulder came to my mind. I, I've had times in my life just like that where it feels like he just stepped back or turned away, cold shoulder, like he's not listening to me anymore. He's not listening to my prayers. He's certainly not giving me what I want or what I think I need. He's turning a cold shoulder toward me. Well, I think lots of us feel like that. And this the putting on the sweater, I realized it feels like that right now physically because we had this wonderful, nice, warm weather for a very long time, and then suddenly we get up and it's chilly, and not only outside but in the house. And so I had to grab a sweater. I haven't done that in months, many months. But that was a reminder to me that there is there is a reason that things suddenly become like that. So the physical, the practical reason, of course, is that the season are changing. We're going to be having fall. We're starting fall, and things just do turn chilly. But I felt a little bit like the rug had been pulled out from under me because I got used to that warm weather. I got used to being able to just step out into the garden and work in the garden without having to put a sweater on, working around the house without having to put a sweater on. And it does definitely change some of the things that I can or need to do in terms of working outside. There's just a small example from my life, but the putting on of the sweater. So here's what came to my mind. I want to share it with you. Is those times when I feel like God has turned a cold shoulder to me, I need to remember that I have a sweater. I have a spiritual sweater that I can put on. And that spiritual sweater consists of the rosary, the prayers that we all know that are part of our faith, that the liturgy, the sacraments, that's like the sweater that we put on. And how is that possible when we feel like God has turned a cold shoulder to us? Well, listen, here's how it goes. It's at those times when you feel most like God has turned away that you need to work hardest on reaching toward Him. That's the time when you keep your spiritual schedule, your prayer schedule. That's the time when, even if you don't feel all warm and fuzzy about praying or conversing with God, that you do it anyway. You do it anyway. It's like putting on a sweater. You don't really feel like putting on a sweater. I would prefer to just have a t-shirt, short sleeves, and enjoy the warmth. But that's not the case. So I put on the sweater not because I'm all excited about putting on a sweater, but because it keeps me going. It's a help to me. Well, so is a prayer life continued through these times when it feels like God has turned a cold shoulder. Because eventually, guess what? You're going to start to warm up. And eventually, God will turn back to you, or you'll sense his presence, because he never really turns his back to you. He's always there with you. He loves you. He's never going to turn his back on you. It just feels like that because in your human perception, you're not getting the response that you think you should. And maybe you're not expressing yourself. Maybe it's a little bit the fault on your part. Maybe you're not reaching hard enough for God. Maybe you haven't bundled yourself in that sweater to feel his warmth. You see, it goes two ways. We can't just sit back and think, well, God turned away, so fine, so I'm going to turn away from him. No, no, we just stay the course. We stay the course and continue our prayers continue to receive the sacraments, and eventually things will turn around. You know, there are so many saints, including Mother Teresa. Years, decades, she was in spiritual dryness, never sensed truly the presence of God in her life. But what did she do? She kept going. She kept going for love of God. So we keep going for love of God. We put on that sweater, that spiritual sweater for love of God. And eventually we will sense truly God's presence again in our lives. So don't worry if it feels like God has turned a cold shoulder toward you. He hasn't, and he never will. Just grab your sweater and carry on. Hey, if you would like to know more about me, please go to my website, margefenelon.com. You can find my other videos there. You can find out how to subscribe to Mary Mail, my weekly newsletter, 3 minutes a week to a deeper love of Christ and his mother, Mary. You can also, I got a great surprise for you there. You can get a copy of my ebook, 9 Prayers I Say Every Day. Go there. You'll love it. margefenelon.com. You also can find out how to book me for your event, retreat, for a presentation, online, in person. Bring me to your parish, or let's set up something online. margefenelon.com. My books are there. My religious articles are there. It is all there for you. margefenelon.com. And please subscribe to my YouTube channel and like this video so that others can benefit from this message of putting that spiritual sweater on. Hey, God bless you and stay warm.